everybody. It's Heather with the Leadership with Heart podcast, and today I'm really super tickled pink, very very thrilled to have Sonya Crockett on. Oh gosh, let me just think. I met Sonya met me through my new book, The Art of Caring Leadership, but I met her when she joined our HR Community Power Hour, and she joined, and I could see right away she was fully bought into this caring leadership philosophy, and then we just kind of kept talking and just figuring out, how we can do more things together, work together, and just have had just such a great time, and just have been super humbled to see you, Sonya, how much you've just taken on this framework. And I want you to tell people, so we're going to get there, but welcome to the show. I'm just so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me, Heather. Thank you so much for the invite.
So I know you've been listening to the podcast, and you've been, you got the book, you do all that stuff, and you're spreading it around. Where are you right now in your leadership journey?
In my leadership journey, right now, I think that I'm living out my purpose. I think I'm being my purpose. And what I mean by that, I remember going back maybe like 10 or 12 years, and I was starting a new job. It was my day one. And I would always say this sort of like inner prayer to myself. And I would say, God, what is my calling here? What am I supposed to do? Because I always feel like I'm on an assignment and there's something to be fulfilled. And for some reason, I was chosen to be that person at that place at that time to do that thing. But the unknown is like, what is that thing, or what is that person that I'm called to connect to? So right now in my journey, I've been in HR for more than 20 years. I've absolutely loved the profession as a whole, and I've done a lot there. But I would have to say in the last at least 5 years of my career, I can say I've truly been walking out being my purpose.
That is so amazing. I love it, love it, love it. And the organization you work with, Raising Cane's, I love their whole focus on kind of love and loving on their employees and making the experience amazing. Obviously, it aligns really well with caring leadership and leading with heart. So I love that so much, our alignment, and then again, just all that you represent and all the stuff you've been doing. I want you to tell that story that you told before we got on, because it's so important. And then I want to go deeper on this concept. But so this is a little bit off, but you were talking about, we're really just talking about leaders being a leader without a title. It's not the title that matters, it's your interaction. So tell us a little bit about that story that you had with Chuck.
Okay, so Chuck, Corner Bakery is one of my favorite places to eat, and I just so happened to come in and do some work over the weekend. And on Saturday, I went in, and the gentleman behind the counter, had his name tag on, and I always try to make it a habit to identify people by name because I think people love hearing their names, and it means something. It says that you were very intentional to call me out. So I came in and said, "Good morning, Chuck," and he said, "Good morning," and I didn't introduce myself by name, and he took my order. Then the following day, I wanted breakfast again because I was coming to the office. And once again, Chuck was there on the morning shift. And I was like, "Good morning, Chuck." And we chatted just a little bit. And I came out. And so here it is, day 3. I wasn't expecting Chuck to be there, but he was. And when I came in this time, before I could say, "Good morning, Chuck," he said, "Good morning, Miss Sonya." And that was the landscape of my entire day. It was, and I began to think about how intentional you have to be to have that caring spirit. And it can't be one of those attributes about yourself that reside just within your family, within your inner circle, and the people that is close to you. But what about the foreign community outside of those gates? How intentional can we be for those individuals? So it was, it was a good moment.
I just love it. I just love it so much. I want to tell these stories because, we talk so much about caring leadership, and there are those, yes, that are, managers that have titles, that they have people that report to them. There are those who might have manager titles who don't have anybody report to them. And then we have people who don't have manager title, and they're people who are producing and moving the business forward. And there's so many different, communities out in the world that still can show care. And so in this example, it had nothing to do with where you're at and regional HR manager and all that stuff, right? So it had nothing to do with that. It was fully about you as a human interacting with another human, making that other human feel important. And It was so intentional. And I think, that's really a huge message, I think, from the show. I always want to talk about that. How intentional are you? Did that happen by accident? Can you replicate if it was good? Can you stop it if it was bad? Right. So I love it. Oh gosh, thank you so much for that story. I am curious to know, where you are again, just despite any title, you are what I know about you, what you, and
Mhm.
kind of the role you've taken on inside of Raising Cane's, even with just evangelizing the caring leadership model and everything. Um, what gave you the drive to lead like you do? What is it that drives you to lead in that way?
The thing that, my mom is my driving force, and the reason I say that is that she came from very humble beginnings. But everything that she's lived out in life, the advice that she's given, it always, if you were to try to find the common denominator of it all, it always tied back to caring. And her mantra in life was always, if you do what's right, right will follow you. And I've lost count of the number of times I've shared that phrase with other people. If you just do what's right, right will follow you. And overall, I think about just being a leader, I had to get to a place where I had to make a difference and not a living. That's when my entire career started changing. I wasn't no longer in pursuit of the next opportunity, the next promotion, but it's like, you know what, right now in this moment in this season, how can I just make a difference? And I felt that if I was making a difference, I was connecting with people, I was impacting, their lives. That within itself was going to make room for any promotion, to come. And I've seen those things come to pass. Um, and that's been my focus. The work is different from the job. The job is what I get paid to do. The work is what I feel like I'm called to do.
Mm, wow, we got more people thinking like that because I feel like if we go where we're called,
Mhm.
um, then well, it's going to be more fulfilling. We're going to be able to really, empty ourselves and pour into other people in the way we need to. We're going to be able to be more aware of what people are going through and what they're feeling. And so, overarchingly, we're just going to be in better shape because we are, showing up that way. So I really appreciate that. I
Mhm.
am curious to know, like, has there ever been a time for you? I mean, as wonderful as you are, has there ever been a time when you have not been like that best version of you? When you weren't like the leader you are today, and you can remember it, it's just clearly when you kind of messed up. And what did you do to get better and grow out of that?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity of sharing a very ugly or not so attractive but honest moment. Yes, I'm gonna start off by saying yes. I had one of those moments of failing, and my failure was that I failed to provide ascending care for my manager. Um, I've always been an authentic person, but I was in a position where it was a very uncaring situation. And there were some unattractive emotions that came out of it. And so, how I would explain it is that this is definitely a different organization, not Raising Cane's. I had a team that I absolutely love working for, a phenomenal group of other peers within the organization. And so the manager that I actually reported up to was not a caring manager at all. It was an environment that was very challenging to be in, and it's just how you were treated. The team was treated poorly. There was verbal attacks, there were put downs, every negative thing that you can think of, it actually exists in that environment. But out of all of it, I was viewed as their go-to person. Like if one of my colleagues needed to have a meeting with this individual, they would come to me and they would go through their list of concerns and issues that they had. And I always pride myself on being honest. And in my honesty, they made sure things they've happened. And I'm honest with them. It's like, yeah, that was wrong. It shouldn't have happened. And I may even, start expressing my concerns and personal issues that I was having with this particular leader also. And my missed opportunity is that I didn't realize that because the team was coming to me and they were venting their frustrations and their concerns, I was so focused on doing them justice by being honest and saying, yes, these things are happening and they were wrong, but I was not intentional in trying to solve the problem. I didn't give them any guidance. I didn't follow up in the conversation or before I got off the call and said, well, you know what? These things are true, but let's talk about what we can do to make it better. Let's talk about some things that we can do to love on her,
Hmm.
because you never know what's going on in the backdrop of a person's life, and that was my missed opportunity, because I know that I was good at it. But the reason I know that I missed the opportunity, Heather, is because I was too distracted by the offenses that she had brought into my life. And so, since I was walking around bitter, offended, upset, feeling the same way my team felt, feeling the same way my colleagues were felt, nothing registered in me to Sonya, you are called to change this situation and turn it around. Because had I spoken up and said, you know, when our birthday came, let's get together and just do a birthday celebration and just love on her. Let's come together and just get a card and everyone, sign off on it. There's a laundry list of things that I could have recommended and done. And because they respected me as a leader, I didn't do it. So I think that I failed them, because even though I'm no longer there, they don't have a memory to say, you know what, Sonya was one of those leaders that was in a tough spot, reporting to a very challenging leader. And in spite of that, she rose to the occasion to still love on her and to care. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of us, for leaders, it's a lot easier to be caring to your peers and be caring with, any of the teams that you're surrounded. But when you start going upward, I think there's a natural expectation and a natural thought that, hey, if you're at this grade level, or you're in this role, you should already know better. I shouldn't have to tell you what it means to be a caring leader and to be respectful, and just how to put your emotional arms around the team that supports you. And so that's where I failed. That's where I failed. And I think that if I had done things differently, it could have impacted her life in a more positive, way. She probably could have been a more caring leader. But and that still bothers me. It still bothers me from time to time. I think about it, and I even think about, like, how can I know I can't undo it, but like, how can I do something to maybe apologize and say, hey, I failed you and I wish I could have done things differently.
Interesting. Interesting thing about that, knowing you now. So, like, obviously, I didn't know you then, but knowing you now, you are the epitome of a supportive person, no matter where you are in the organization. Like, you're right.
Mhm.
You're always, you're trying to coach up. You're trying to inspire up. You're trying to inspire down. You're just everybody in your circle. You're just looking to say, how can I bring you in? How can I, uplift you and inform you and enlighten you and make you a better leader? So I think you're
Mhm.
more than made up for that instance by how you show up now. I think it's pretty amazing. And oh my gosh, some of the things that you do. I'd love to tell for those who are listening right now, tell us some of the things that you've done with your team as it relates to kind of bringing in the incorporating the caring leadership framework, but into like your already existing corporate culture. That's already a great
Uh,
culture, but
mhm.
brought it in and kind of led and inspired other leaders
Okay.
without a title, like not needing the title to do it.
Exactly, without title. Well, I do support the crew resources department, and focusing on crew relations, which is equivalent of employee relations, which is the common term that is known. And I feel great just knowing that I've been entrusted to help govern the company and the standards so that we can live out the one love mantra and the drive the culture for Canes as a whole. Um, our environment is all about having fun. It's all about wanting work to be that place that you dream, to come to. And, one thing that I pride myself on, and we all know being in HR, you have onboarding and you have offboarding, even when it comes to the place, whether an individual decides to leave the organization or whether we decide to promote them to customer, I always want that to be a positive experience. I always say at the time of having conversations and there's a separation, is that I want to work from that company or help create that experience where that person feels like, oh, that was the ex that got away. You know,
Yes.
I wish I didn't let them go. Or after a while, you get to the next company, it's like, I wonder if they'll take me back. I didn't realize how good I had it. So when I think about my role, those are some of the things that I focus on. Well, and with supporting such a mass group of leaders and just crew members as a whole, I feel like everything that I do and I don't do, it directly impacts the company, it directly impacts the brand. And so that means a lot to me. And so, one thing, the biggest thing I think that I'm most proud of right now, thanks to you, Miss Heather Younger, is that this year my word was love. And I always pick a word out every year that's going to drive my focus. And I started thinking about, oh, I need to find a book. I need a book to talk about this. And some kind of way I came across your book. I'd heard some teachings of yours before. And I was like, The Art of Caring Leadership. Oh my God, this has to be a good book. I mean, this this has to be a good book, you know. And how often do you find somebody who has a JD? You have an attorney slash HR engagement, like all of that. It's like the perfect HR storm, you know, coming together as guidance. So I purchased the book and instantly I started reading and I was like, this is it. This is what I have to present, you know, to the region. And I felt like because our operations run so fast and so quick and there's so much going on, and I was like, you know what? Some people may not have an opportunity to actually stop and do the reading. So I'll do the reading for them and I'll do a recap. And so that's what I started doing. I presented it to the entire team. I would do a recap via email and I would, you know, create my own story, or I would create stories that connect back to our business and operations. And I'll apply it to the message that you were sitting in that chapter. And every Wednesday morning, whatever podcast that was listed in that chapter, I would actually send that out via text message to all of my area leaders of restaurants. And so they were expected to listen to those podcasts. Some immediately start telling their other leaders, hey, go out and buy the book. You know, you can get it on Kindle for $9.99. You can get it on Amazon. And then I started just getting emails from other operators saying, what's the name of that book? I heard about the podcast, you know. So everybody just started blowing me up and I just got excited. And then my next challenge was, you know, when I started just coaching and just having conversations with our leaders, I say, hey, we need to start using the term caring leadership. I would send emails out and I will put pound caring, hashtag caring leadership. And then I start getting on area calls, and sometimes the leaders be talking, or a leader may do something. It's like, you know what? That's a phenomenal example of what caring leadership looks like. So I'm really trying to make it part of our vernacular here and raising canes, you know, for the leaders. So that's what I've been doing and focusing on.
Oh my gosh. What I love about it, it's like less about me. Yes, I feel good and I'm humbled by it, right? Because that work is like,
Mhm,
it's my life's work. It's what I was put on this earth to do. It's the calling we talked about. But the
mhm,
thing that's most exciting to me is just like seeing a catalyst that's independent from me, that like catches a spark, that like goes and takes something that far. And now you're impacting so many other people. And it's like, I just planted a tiny little seed and you just did everything. I'm so impressed with you. And I
mhm.
keep saying, boy, if I could just replicate you by like 20, the world would be a lot better place, because it would just start spreading like fire, right? All over the place. And everybody would be just saying, how can we care more? Everybody would be doing what you did with Chuck, right?
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, we would have, think about what we would have during this pandemic after coming out of the pandemic, instead of what we have right now, which is a lot of really angry people not treating each other kindly, beating each other,
Mhm,
doing all kinds of stuff all over the place.
mhm,
And instead, they're going out of their way to ask people's name and to look at their name, to say their name. They're going out of their way to greet people. And that's care. That's care without a
mhm,
title. That's care as being just from human to human. And I love it. I mean,
mhm.
I just, you can call me a little sap all you like to. You're listening to me, so I think you must like it anyway. But you can call me that. I don't really care, because in the end, I'm in this to like touch lives.
Yeah,
And I think, and you are too. So total kindred
yes.
spirit. I just appreciate you so much. So I am curious, for those who are listening, what might be a couple pearls of wisdom you would leave them with? Just something that would either get them through their week, something that's, I don't know, just something that they need, whatever you think that is, it comes to you.
A pearl of wisdom. Okay. I don't know if it's going to be a pearl or a diamond or sapphire, if I had to put my most encouraging word out there for anyone who stops to take out the time to listen, is that, don't wait for someone to tell you that you're a leader, and don't wait for a title to confirm it. Know it, act on it, and live up to the call of your purpose. For me personally, I feel like the smartest, most valuable, and influential leaders are the ones who are titleless, because they are empowered to operate in a covert type of atmosphere. You just don't see them coming, and they sneak up on you. And before you know it, so much good is done. And so I love that, because that person can get so much done undetected without the distractions and the tension, being actually drawn to them. And being in HR so long, the people that I've been most impressed with were the ones who were titleless. So
Mm.
that would be my word, be your purpose. Just be your purpose. Just get past the point of saying, oh, I'm trying to figure out my purpose. You know what your purpose is. Just start being it. If you know that you're a kind person, that you're loving, that you have compassion, and I think to some degree, all of us possess that. That is just something we have to start acting on.
Mm. Oh my gosh, to those of you listening, I don't know if you're just getting totally filled up like I am. Again, if you're listening to the show, you get filled up like I do just on this stuff as well. So it's so great. I mean, that message of being, just be you, but be you in a kind way. Don't be you in a jerk way. I always like to say that
Yes.
too when we think of authenticity, right? But I think this other idea of don't show up to lead because you have a title. Show up to lead with care, with or without it. It doesn't even matter if you're the CEO, the VP, a director.
Yes.
Just connect human to human. And I think that's the even a very important message as well, that I think comes from what you talk about is
Mhm.
person to person, human to human. Who are you to me? You're important to me, and I want you to know that. And again, what would the world produce if we had more people like that? So I'm so thankful to have you. For those who
Thank you.
listen and listening, oh yeah. And for those who listen and just like we're filled up, don't forget to refer, like put this out there, share it far and wide to
Yeah.
all the people in your network. And also, for those of you who have not already done so, go to Apple Podcasts and write that review, because the review does help us kind of come up on the algorithm. I was just told we're in one of the top ones in Brussels or Belgium, and we just went
Wow.
up the U.S. up like 44 slots for this podcast, and it's because of people like you who are listening and doing the reviews and promoting it far and wide. Listen, there's something different here, right?
Mhm.
At
Yeah.
the heart of this is the heart. It is the
Yes.
care. It's different than most leadership podcasts. And the fact that we are able to go and show and share a time we weren't the best version of ourselves is what
Mhm.
makes it so special. So, Sonya, again, thank you for making this a special episode as well.
Thank you for equipping me, for doing the hard work and empowering me to do it and make it so much easier.
Mm. Thanks, everybody, too, for joining the Leadership with Heart podcast. Be well.